Hello again and welcome to part 3 of Utopia's electrical devices.
We also had the AIS 700 transceiver installed, which is primarily the AIS function. So you can actually get the function through the VHF radio if you've got the VHF radio installed, but apparently a dedicated one is better. Why? I don't know. I don't really know. You can put it in on the comments. But we can see that if we've got both turned on, we actually have almost two Utopias, one overlaying the other, like a kind of ghosting thing. So we make a point of turning off the AIS from the Raymarine VHF radio. And another thing we had installed, which we absolutely wouldn't again because we hardly ever use it, the remote autopilot control. So, I mean, I understand how some people might use it, sitting out forward, coming into a dock and just going left, right, left, right, left, right, but we don't use it. Of course, we also had the Raymarine radar installed, which is the Quantum Doppler 2. It seems to work pretty well. In the beginning, we struggled to set it. It seems that the sensitivity settings are really, it's finicky. But, once you got it right, you're good. And I've photographed our settings in case anybody ever plays with them and we lose them. And, it's just really would save a lot of time if you got those photographs. And then a very important thing for me, I mean, I can't even imagine living without it. So when we're coming into dock at Marina, we have these cameras installed on the top of the mast. Now, somebody went up there recently and bumped them out of alignment, so our young crew member Darren is going to go up there and help straighten it out. In fact, it's this forward one that's out of alignment. It's showing more than half the boat, which I don't want it to do. I only want it to show up to the spreaders at that point, show the front half of the boat, and then we have the aft one as well. So here reversing, you can imagine reversing, and it's almost like just playing Space Invaders. You can see exactly where the dock is alongside you, how far you are from it, where it is from the back corner, and then there is a combination view, which is the reason that I want it straightened, because now I've got this distorted view of the boat from above, whereas beforehand the two combined together gave exactly the perfect view of what the boat looks like from up top. So a very, very important option for us. On Utopia, we had the Flir M364C camera installed. It's a pretty expensive camera. I think the entire installation cost around about $21,000, if not even more. And that was a nightmare right from the beginning. Finally, it was removed from this boat in November 2024. We're now in June of 2025. Raymarine, or Flir, they agreed to refund the camera in February, and in true Leopard fashion, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Leopard accidentally overpaid us last year. Well, they just made an arbitrary payment to us for, I think it was $23,000, and quickly phoned us frantically or sent us frantic email, and we shot the money straight back. We've been waiting since February for this money. Pretty shocking. We keep hearing it's coming next week and the following week, and it just goes on and on like that. We got a friend, a Swiss friend who owned a Leopard 45, who said, all of this stuff is borderline scam. And it kind of feels like that when you're sitting waiting for a reasonably big sum, $21,000 of my money they're sitting on, which could be, in a share earning, huge money kind of thing. But anyway, so that's off. They didn't remove the joysticks, they removed the camera, but we'll try to remove the joysticks and give them back to them. Not that they've asked for them back, but I've offered to try. And then we had the AR200 stabilization unit, which I forgot to put onto the invoice to Leopard as requiring a refund. So you have to give them an invoice. I gave them an invoice for the components of the, as per their invoice. But further down on their invoice was this AR200 stabilization unit. So I'm still going to need to get that back from them. But I'm not looking forward to any of that, of course. It's just a nightmare. Then also installed, we had a NEMEA 2000 gateway with a USB connection, so that you can connect your PC, and if you've got the right software, that'll interface to the NEMEA 2000 gateway, and which can then collect NEMEA information and present whatever information is available on the NEMEA network. Your chart, your speed, your wind, your course over ground and wind, and absolutely everything that you can get on your MFD, all of that information, which is NEMEA information, and even probably including digital switching module. So, your tanks and be it the fuel tank, the water tank, the holding tanks, all of that other information you can pretty much collect. So we just haven't bought the software, the Windows software, and activated that as yet. We've just been too busy with warranty from day one, pretty much. And people tend to think that when you're on a boat you're not busy. Trust me, when you've got all these hassles, unfortunately they're all pretty much over now. It takes a lot. It really does take a lot. Leopard don't appreciate that. They don't understand, and they, if they did, you'd see them treat you a little bit better. We also ordered from Leopard Aftermarket the Simrad forward-looking sonar. They weren't able to get that, so we put the Garmin MFD on. It also has a forward-looking sonar, so what you get is a view of the ground, and as it comes up, so you see it about to come up on the MFD. Quite fantastic, actually, and great for coming into anchorages or when you're not sure about what's in the water in front of you. You'd have to be pretty quick when you see something, depending on how quickly it's coming at you and how quickly you're going, but at least you get a little bit of forewarning on that. We also had the Lamar auto chain counter hardwired at the helm, and that's been a nightmare since day one. Fortunately, Marcel at Leopard has replaced that for us. We'll wire that in. And then the last thing from a Ray Marine point of view is we got the Ray Marine Dragonfly MFD for the dinghy, and that gives us depth and GPS. We don't use the card because we keep changing region, and each time a Navionics card or Garmin card is $200 or $300, so it makes no sense. And so what I'd do is I'd put two round dials in the dashboard of the dinghy, and one of those would be speed and the other would be depth. And then I'd have a phone holder mounted, and I'd put the tablet with Navionics that we've already paid for anyway. So we got it on the tablet. We've got it. They really should be looking at one account. They should really be going, okay, you've paid to have that region, whether you have it on your MFD, on your phone, and if you've got more than one MFD, it's the same person. I mean, they do that with Android, with a whole lot of, not Ray Marine, but a lot of Android apps. If you log in with your account, it doesn't matter which phone or device you're on, you've got access to that app that you paid for. It can recognize it's you. But anyway, they don't do that. These are the USB ports and the AC alternating current ports, so 220 or 110, whichever you select when you buy the boat, that Leopard give you. It's not very much at all. So, and as you can see from this following map, this is what we had put on the boat. So you can see a whole lot of 220, a whole lot of 110, and a heck of a lot of USB all over the place, as well as a 12-volt lighter. We've actually gone for a slightly different port than the regular lighter port. We've gone for the Hella port. It's thinner and longer and holds better. So that's our 12-volt lighter port replacement. And of course we got adapters, so if somebody comes on with a lighter, hypothetically a hairdryer that's connected to a lighter that you would plug into your car, well, we just got the little adapter and we plug it into our Hella, which holds better. But for the rest, we've actually got a whole lot of the little Hella plugs, and we put those on our 12-volt devices. Be they out at the back, we sometimes drop the underwater light in for fishing. We've got the submersible one that you drop in, which is not necessarily the same as the ones that are built into the boat. So you can see a heck of a lot of ports in Utopia, plug points and USB ports and 12-volt ports. And then, of course, the air conditioner, which is a 48-volt device that I've already gone through and gone over. And we also have a basic provision for a generator. So we've got a through hole just in case a future owner actually wants to have a generator. Now, I can't imagine why when you've got these high output alternators. I mean, we get 7 kilowatts when we're running both. That's a heck of a lot. I mean, the solar panels on an exceptional day will give us 3.5 kilowatts. So we're getting, and then you'll only get that 3.5 kilowatts for 3 hours of the day, and it'll be on a good day, right? And then you'll be getting less than that either side of that. Whereas with running these two engines, even when the alternators are at their warmest and being regulated right down, you've got 7 kilowatts. So it still is a lot. Although I would love to have had the Zeus's, which give you 10.5 kilowatts fully regulated. 7 is something to write home about. And then, of course, as mentioned, there's 110 on this boat, and part of the reason was so that we got 110 shore power. There's a servo that controls our 110 and 12 volt, and there's a servo that controls our 220 and 48 volt. So looking at 220 volt, we've got a lot. Obviously 220 volt is our main AC power source. 110 is just a sideline for us. And as mentioned in a previous video, we've got 10 kilowatts of 220, so quite a lot. And we've got items like the dive compressor, which otherwise on a 12 volt system, we've got a 48 volt system. Quite often is not enough. I've got friends on a Leopard 45, and I've heard elsewhere, I think on the group, that needed to have upward of 90% battery power before they could run their dive compressor. We've actually just run it right now today, and we're on 27% at this very moment. Where it's housed, I'll actually open up so you can have a look at how we've put it. So Leopard, when they install these things, they install them left to right, which ends up taking up the whole locker. We had them install it, back to front, as you can see there. And that basically means that we had a whole lot of extra space for all of that other stuff that you can see there, including shore power cords and what have you. So we've got 2 young crew, and they're underneath giving the boat a clean, before we leave on our passage across the Pacific. So we've also got, as a separate item, Leopard charged us for the washer and dryer. We've got the separate washer and dryer provisioning. So that's all the plumbing that needed to happen in terms of bringing water and taking water away and dumping it, and as well as the electrical points for that. And of course, we built custom cabinetry. So we got a separate washer, separate dryer running on the 220. We replaced the gas stove and the gas oven with the induction hob, and of course the regular oven. This boat is also optioned with the electric barbecue out on the aft deck. We haven't used it much. In fact, we've used it once, maybe twice. It's just a personal choice. We always tend to go to the Weber gas barbecue, or gas braai as us South Africans call it. Additionally, we have a proper marine grade dehumidifier built in. So this is the dehumidifier. We put these little bits of ribbon on here so that we know when it's blowing. It's a little bit silly, but it looks silly, but we kind of like to see that it's actually engaged. And the reason is it also has, and it's behind you, it's installed behind you on a shelf just behind that. And it also has a humidistat. So we set the humidity level, and basically when the humidity is high, it'll come on, and when it's low, it'll go off. And the outlet for that, so it doesn't push out water, it pushes out air vapor. That's the outlet for it. So basically when it's running, you can feel a warm, very moist, damp, humid air kind of coming out of that. And so that's specifically for when we leave the boat, and we haven't got an ugly, great big device in the middle that we have to look at. It's nicely hidden. And it is a 220 volt device. And then, of course, another very important thing, the hot water system, so for showering and warm water, and for warm water at the kitchen, we've got that powered off of the 220 as well. Now, obviously, we've got all the regular domestic stuff powered off the 220, our air fryer, 220-litre chest freezer, but that's an idea of some of the not regular things on a 220-volt system on this boat.